Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Brendan Quaintance, and today I'm going to be showing you how to set up your SDN controller. Now, a couple things we're going to need for this part of the project. One, a dedicated computer for the controller to be running on. Two, VMware to be installed and working if you don't want the only OS on the computer to be the controller. So I'm using VM Workstation 12 Pro. And also, we're going to need to download the controller operating system. So there's different controllers for SDN you can use out there. Ubuntu uses Open Daylight, but for this project I'm going to be using HPE Van SDN Controller, which is on their website. And the one I'm using is the OVA, the free trial, and I believe it's like 60-day free trial that you can use this for. And so go ahead and download that, and let's get started. So once you have the program downloaded, or the SDN controller, the one I'm using is the HPE Van. Go ahead and extract it, and we can go ahead and import it into our work. So you can go ahead and give it a name if you want. Controller, and this is the destination of where you want it to go. So go ahead and import, and it's going to take a while. I'm going to pause the video until it's done, and we'll continue from there. Alright, now that we have it imported, we're ready to go ahead and boot it. It's funny, my cat is sitting right next to my laptop looking at the screen as we set up this controller, and she is stoked about SDN. Here, you can have a listen. This is exciting, so let's go ahead and boot up this controller. Go ahead and let it do its thing for a couple seconds. So this SDN, HPE SDN controller is Linux based. So if you know Linux, then you shouldn't be too scared of how this looks. Okay, so we're prompted with the login page. So the default login for this controller when you download it, I believe, is SDN as the login, and the password is Skyline. I don't know if the owner of HPE has a Nissan Skyline or what that's all about, but let's go ahead and hit that in. So we're going to select the top option because we're not migrating from the previous controller. So I have that selected, and you can hit tab, go to next. So we can give it a host name if you want. Let's call it SDN controller, and we don't want to select DHCP because we want to select a static IP for it to have. That way, so we can remember it, and it's not always changing all the time. We'll just have it set to one specific IP. In the previous video, we did a Nmap scan of our network to see which IPs are being used and not used. So I decided that I wanted to make my controller 192.168.1.200. Now you can make it whatever you want as long as it's not duplicating another IP in the network. Subnet mask, WAC24, we got our default gateway and primary DNS. You can put Google's DNS if you want to be cool. There we go. And let's hit next. Let's just verify our information. It looks super cool to me. It's just to verify our information, and it looks sweet to me. So let's go ahead and go to OK. And now it's setting up the configuration. Okay, so once it's done loading and saving the configuration, we are now prompted with the basic command line interface of Linux. So what we can do is, let's see our interfaces and their IPs by typing ifconfig. You can see we set the Ethernet to the static IP that we want, so that's good, it's saved, and we should be good to go now. So the SDN controller should be set or connected somewhere on your network. So it should be plugged in, and we can go ahead and test connection. Let's go ahead and, oops. Let's get out of this, and we could do a ping to our controller. And bada bing, bada boom, we have connection. It is all good to go. So our controller is now set up to be used with our interface, which we're then going to use the interface to configure our switch. So to connect to our HPE Van controller, you typically use a web browser, and we're going to type in HTTPS and the IP that you assign to the controller. So mine's 192.168.1.200. And also we have to put the port number that it's on, otherwise it will drop the packet. So :8443 is the port that the controller runs on, and then you can hit enter, and it's going to prompt you with a certificate warning. That's okay. We're just going to hit advance and proceed to that IP. Now we're prompted with the login page, and so it's the same login that it's defaulted on the controller. So it's SDN Skyline is the password. Now you can go ahead and change that password if you like. You just go over here, change SDN user and password, set it to whatever you want. Now this is basically the user interface that the controller uses. On the side we have some tabs you can see, alerts. These are like logs. Under that we have applications. So this is where we can upload applications that we want to use with the switch. We already have some on there, as you can see. Underneath that is configurations. So you can modify the configurations that it has. Is turn off one of the settings that comes with the controller. So under controller manager, click that, and we can see right here hybrid mode is true. We need to turn that off because our Zodiac FX switch is pure flow, so it's not going to be using hybrid. So go ahead and hit modify, and let's select or turn this to false. I believe it'll still work if you don't put that setting, but it's suggested that you turn it off. And after that, we have some other tabs: audit log, licenses if you want to license some products onto your controller. You have team, support logs, and under that, there's some very important tabs right here. So the first one is OpenFlow Monitor. This is where you're going to see your SDN devices when they're connected to your network. Underneath that is OpenFlow Topology. So this actually gives you a little topology diagram of your SDN networks. So you'll see your SDN switch right here, and then you could also see what's connected to that switch that you're monitoring the traffic from. There's also OpenFlow Trace. This basically captures the traffic that's going in and out of the switches, and I think it only captures for like 10 seconds. I don't know if that's just a trial or not. Underneath that, OpenFlow classes, just some default rules that are already assigned, and packet listeners. So that's pretty much it for the user interface for the HPE Van SDN controller. So now we have our Zodiac FX switch set up and our controller set up. Now what we need to do is link the two together so they start communicating to each other. That's going to be in our next video. Thank you guys for watching.